What's happening, good people? It's your man Rod Regal coming at you with another Regal Rants. Gonna keep it going, y'all. Gonna keep it going. I got another one. Another incident we're gonna deal with. This one was crazy, man. This one was crazy, and once again, I bring you these real events just to kind of show you, the different spirits we're gonna encounter in the community. You know what I'm saying? We gotta address some of this stuff, man. We have to address it. I'm gonna say this: hurt people, hurt people. That's the realest thing I ever wrote. Hurt people, hurt people. We're gonna have to learn to deal with some of these internal issues that plague us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just some real talk, and you'll kind of understand more of what I'm speaking of as we get into the presentation today. All right. So, Rod Regal Rants. Let's get into it. Y'all check this
out. Miss Williams, step away from the console.
Excuse me, I'm working.
The logs say otherwise.
And
the system glitches. A mother tried calling 3 times. You hung up 3 times.
I just didn't feel like working.
Stand up right now.
I didn't feel like working that day. That was Crenshonda Latrice Williams, 23 years old, 18 months on the job as a 911 dispatcher for Harris County, Texas. And in that moment, sitting at her console on the 5th floor of the Emergency Communications Center on Travis Street in downtown Houston, she had just admitted to failing a family in the worst way imaginable. What investigators had uncovered in the weeks leading up to this confrontation was a pattern so callous, so indifferent to human suffering, that seasoned detectives struggled to process it. 47 emergency calls over 10 months, medical emergencies, domestic violence, car accidents on I-10 and the Katy Freeway, each one answered by Crenshonda Williams, each one disconnected within seconds. But it was the Williams calls, 3 desperate pleas from a mother trying to save her 4-month-old son, that would send this case to trial, to national news, and ultimately to a prison cell in Gatesville, Texas. 18 months in state prison. A $1.4 million settlement paid by Harris County taxpayers. And a mother who will never stop asking why her son never had a chance because someone couldn't be bothered to do her job. Before we continue, have you ever called 911 and wondered if someone was actually listening? Let us know in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Crenshonda Latrice Williams was born in March 1999 in 3rd Ward, Houston. Her mother, Patricia, worked as a dental hygienist at a clinic on Wheeler Avenue. Steady work, decent benefits, home by 6 most nights. Her father, Darnell, drove long haul for Werner Enterprises, hauling freight across Texas. He was gone 2 weeks out of every month, sometimes 3. She was the middle child. Older brother Darnell Jr., younger sister Keisha. They shared a 2-bedroom apartment off Scott Street, cramped but clean. The AC window unit ran all summer and barely kept up with the Houston heat. Patricia kept the place spotless, but 3rd Ward was 3rd Ward. She was pretty. Everyone said so. By middle school, she'd learned that being pretty opened doors. Teachers were kinder. Boys paid attention. Girls wanted to be close to her. She never had to try hard at anything. Things just worked out. At Jack Yates High School, she floated through the social hierarchy without effort. Homecoming court junior year, prom court senior year, an Instagram following of 2,000 before graduation, impressive for 2017. She posted selfies, got likes, got comments, got the attention she craved. Her teachers were less impressed. She was bright but easily distracted, one wrote. Another noted, strong verbal skills but inconsistent effort. A third observed she was more interested in social life than academics, and frequently on her phone during class. She graduated in 2017 with a 2.4 GPA and no particular plan for what came next. College lasted 1 semester. Houston Community College, fall of 2017. She enrolled in general studies, thinking vaguely about business or communications. She stopped showing up by October, stopped responding to emails from her advisor by November. It wasn't for me, she told her mother. What followed was a string of retail jobs that never stuck. Forever 21 at the Galleria, 3 months. She quit because the manager had an attitude. Ulta Beauty in Memorial City, 4 months. She quit because she was tired of standing all day. A brief stint at a call center in Greenway Plaza, 6 weeks. She walked out mid-shift because a customer raised his voice. She was 20 years old, living at home, making $9 an hour when she bothered to work at all. Her mother was running out of patience. You need a real job, Patricia told her. Benefits, stability, something you can build a life on. In early 2022, Crenshonda saw a posting for the Harris County Emergency Services District. 911 dispatcher. Starting pay, $17.25 an hour. Full benefits. Pension eligibility after 5 years. She applied online, mostly to get her mother off her back. 112 people applied for 8 positions. She passed the written exam, passed the background check, passed the drug screening, passed the psychological evaluation. The evaluators noted she was poised under simulated pressure with strong communication skills and a professional demeanor. One wrote she demonstrated appropriate empathy during role-play scenarios. Another observed she appeared motivated and engaged throughout the assessment process. They offered her the job in February 2022. She started in March. 6 weeks of training at the Harris County Emergency Communications Center on Travis Street in downtown Houston. She learned call protocols, CAD systems, multi-line management, radio codes, crisis de-escalation techniques. She learned how to keep a caller calm while dispatching an ambulance, how to guide a panicked parent through emergency procedures over the phone, how to talk someone through a medical crisis, how to stay on the line with someone in distress until officers arrived, how to be the voice between chaos and rescue. She learned that when someone dials 911, they are almost always experiencing the worst moment of their life, and she would be the first person they reached. On April 15th, 2022, she was assigned to the 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift. Station 7, console facing the east wall, headset, dual monitors, a laminated quick reference card, a direct line to every ambulance, fire truck, and patrol car in Harris County. She was 22 years old. She was responsible for lives. For the first few months, she did her job. The Harris County Emergency Communications Center serves 4.7 million residents, the largest county in Texas.
Yeah, I was recording.
Okay, I was like, I don't know if you record.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you, there's waters in the car.
Okay, I'll come get it in a minute.
Yeah, thanks. And then I saw you point it, so I was like, what's he pointing
Yeah, I thought you wanted one. You had to fix it.
at? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get back into this. Finish this up.
I thought I was getting interrupted.
It's all good.
And the third largest in the United States. On any given shift, 187 dispatchers work rotating schedules across 48 consoles in a facility the size of a football field. They handle an average of 8,200 calls per day. Medical emergencies, domestic disputes, house fires, cardiac events, car accidents on I-10 and the 610 loop and the Katy Freeway and Highway 290. Missing children, suspicious persons, welfare checks on elderly relatives who haven't answered the phone in days. When someone in Houston dials 911, they reach this room. The people who work here are not paramedics. They are not police officers. They carry no badge, no gun, no medical kit. They sit at a desk with a headset and a screen. And yet, they are the first point of contact between a citizen in crisis and the help that might save their life. They guide panicked parents through emergency procedures. They keep distressed callers talking until officers arrive. They dispatch ambulances to medical calls and pray they get there in time. It is a job that requires focus, empathy, and calm under pressure. The system was built on one foundational assumption, that the person answering the call would actually listen, that they would stay on the line, that they would do their job. The system did not account for apathy. The first documented hang-up came on October 14th, 2022, 6 months into her employment. 7:47 p.m., Crenshonda Williams at Station 7. A man calling to report a fender bender on West Park Drive. 2 cars, no injuries. He just needed to file a report. I need to report an click. Call duration, 4 seconds. No callback, no documentation, no dispatch. The caller eventually drove to a police substation to file the report himself. Crenshonda Williams went back to scrolling Instagram, her phone propped against the monitor. It was such a small thing. A fender bender. No one was hurt. No one would ever know. Within weeks, the hang-ups became a pattern, a system. Calls she deemed not worth her time. Fender benders, those were easy to dismiss. Noise complaints, not real emergencies. Callers who sounded intoxicated. They'd call back when they sobered up. Women who sounded hysterical. Someone else could deal with them. She developed a method. Answer the call. Listen for 2 seconds, maybe 3. Decide. Hang up. If the caller dialed again, someone else would pick up. Not her problem. Her colleagues noticed she had the shortest average call times on the floor. Station 7 was clearing calls faster than anyone. No one questioned it. Short calls meant efficiency. Efficiency was good for the metrics. Her supervisors noted in quarterly reviews that she met minimum call quotas, but was not particularly engaged. One wrote that she seems distracted at times, but maintains acceptable performance metrics. Another observed she could benefit from additional mentorship on caller empathy. No formal complaints were filed. No disciplinary action taken. The red flags were there. Nobody looked. Between October 2022 and August 2023, 10 months, Crenshonda Williams hung up on 47 emergency calls. 12 were classified as medical emergencies, cardiac events, diabetic episodes, a woman experiencing a medical crisis in a grocery store parking lot. 8 were domestic violence calls, women calling to report that they were in danger. 1 was hiding in a bathroom closet, whispering into her phone. 14 were traffic accidents. Cars flipped on the highway. Pedestrians struck in crosswalks. At least 2 involved serious injuries. 7 were wellness checks. Family members worried about elderly relatives. Neighbors who hadn't seen the woman next door in days. 6 were classified as other. A gas leak. A suspicious person outside a daycare. A child who had wandered away from home. Each one a person in crisis. Each one trusting that when they called for help, someone would answer. Someone would listen. Someone would send help. Each one heard a click. Then silence. August 12th, 2023. A Sunday. Houston summer. 94 degrees and humid. Denise Williams was 28 years old. She lived alone with her 4-month-old son, Jalen, in a 1-bedroom apartment on Westheimer Road near Montrose. She worked as a pharmacy technician at a CVS on Kirby Drive, $16.50 an hour, just enough to cover rent and everything a new baby needs. Jalen's father was not in the picture, had never been in the picture. It was just the 2 of them. That evening, around 6 o'clock, she put Jalen down for a nap in his crib. He'd been fussy all day, not eating well, a little warm to the touch. She thought he was finally settling. She went to the kitchen to heat up some leftovers. At 6:14 p.m., she checked on him. Something was wrong. He wasn't responding. He needed help immediately. She grabbed her phone, hands shaking, dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? My baby, he's not okay. Please, click. Call duration, 3 seconds. Crenshonda Williams at Station 7. Logged in the system as accidental disconnect. Denise stared at her phone, tried to process what had just happened. She dialed again, 14 seconds later. Ma'am, 911, please, my son, he's 4 months old. Something's wrong. I need an ambulance. Please, click. 5 seconds. Same station, same dispatcher. Logged as caller disconnected. She dialed a 3rd time, screaming now. One hand on Jalen's tiny chest, trying to remember what to do from a video she'd seen once. She didn't know if she was doing it right. She didn't know if it mattered. Please, someone help me. Click. 2 seconds. Crenshonda Williams had hung up on a mother, desperately trying to save her baby. 3 times in 75 seconds. Then she went back to her phone. Denise's neighbor, Marcus Holloway, heard screaming through the thin apartment walls. He pounded on her door, found her holding Jalen, sobbing so hard she couldn't speak. He didn't ask questions. He grabbed his keys. They drove to Memorial Hermann Medical Center, the Texas Medical Center campus, 8 minutes away in Sunday evening traffic. Marcus ran red lights. Denise held Jalen in the back seat, pleading with him to hold on. But too much time had passed, over 20 minutes without proper emergency response. At 6:58 p.m., the doctors delivered the news no parent should ever have to hear. Jalen Marcus Williams was gone, 4 months old. The medical examiner's report noted that outcome may have differed with immediate emergency intervention. If an ambulance had been dispatched on that first call, the one Crenshonda Williams ended after 3 seconds, paramedics could have been on scene in 4 to 6 minutes. Proper medical care could have been administered. The outcome might have been different. Instead, Denise Williams rode to the hospital in the back seat of a stranger's car, praying for a miracle that never came. She would later testify that she kept hoping Jalen would be okay, that she couldn't accept what had happened, that she held him for 2 hours in the emergency room before finally letting go. September 2023, a routine quarterly audit. Quality assurance supervisor Terrence Mobley was reviewing call metrics when he noticed an anomaly. Station 7, an unusual concentration of calls lasting under 5 seconds, far more than any other station. He drilled down. One dispatcher accounted for 71% of all sub-5-second calls over the previous 12 months. Crenshonda Williams, 47 calls. Average duration, 3.2 seconds. That wasn't efficiency. That was impossible. You couldn't verify a caller's location in 3.2 seconds. You couldn't assess an emergency. You couldn't do anything. Mobley pulled the audio files. Every 911 call in Harris County is recorded. Every single one. What he heard made him physically ill. Caller after caller. Mid-sentence. Mid-scream. Mid-plea. Then silence. My husband is hurting me. Please send someone to... Click. There's been an accident on the freeway. I think someone's injured. Click. I can't feel my left arm. I think I'm having a... Click. And then the Williams calls. A mother's voice, rising from confusion to panic to desperate screaming. 3 calls. 3 clicks. A family's nightmare on the other end of the line. Mobley forwarded the files to his supervisor that afternoon. Internal Affairs was notified within the hour. The Texas Rangers were brought in the following day. Crenshonda Williams was placed on administrative leave on September 19th, 2023. 2 days later, she was brought to the Internal Affairs Office for questioning. Investigator Raymond Gaines and Texas Ranger Pauline Vickers were waiting. They played her the audio, the Williams calls, a mother begging for help. Her own voice, bored and flat, before each disconnect. The system glitches all the time, she said. Calls drop. It's not my fault. They played it again, her voice. 911, what's your emergency? Then the click. Long pause. I didn't feel like working that day. They asked about the other 46 calls. She shrugged. Sometimes I just didn't feel like talking. September 18th, 2023, 2:22 p.m. The day before the formal interview. Crenshonda Williams at Station 7. First hour of her shift. Iced Starbucks on the desk. Phone face down beside the keyboard. Headset draped around her neck, not on her ears. Internal Affairs investigator Raymond Gaines walked across the floor toward her station. Texas Ranger Pauline Vickers beside him, both in plain clothes, both with badges visible. Every dispatcher on the floor watched. Crenshonda Williams, Gaines's voice was flat. Step away from the console. She looked up, rolled her eyes. Excuse me, I'm working. 47 hang-ups, your login, your headset, your voice on every recording. Arms crossed, neck rolled. And the system glitches. Calls drop all the time. Vickers stepped forward. A family lost their baby. Mother called 3 times. You hung up 3 times. Crenshonda's jaw tightened. She looked away. I didn't feel like working that day. Stand up, now. She was escorted from the communications center in handcuffs. 31 colleagues watched in silence. Badge confiscated. Access card deactivated. Console locked. At 4:47 p.m., she was booked at Harris County Jail on Baker Street. Charges: 2 counts of interference with emergency telephone calls, normally a misdemeanor, elevated to a state jail felony due to the resulting tragedy. 1 count reckless conduct. 1 count dereliction of duty. Bond was set at $100,000. Her mother posted 10% through a bondsman the next morning. The state of Texas formally indicted Crenshonda Latrice Williams in October 2023. The trial began February 12, 2024, at the Harris County Criminal Courthouse on Franklin Street. Judge Catherine Okonkwo presiding. 23 years on the bench, known for being fair but unsparing. Assistant District Attorney Michael Treadwell for the prosecution. 15-year veteran of the office. He had a 4-year-old daughter at home. Public Defender Simone Ashford for the defense. She argued systemic failures, inadequate training, a broken system that allowed one dispatcher to hang up 47 times without triggering a single flag. The prosecution did not need arguments. They played the audio. The jury heard the Williams calls on the first day of testimony. Courtroom silent. 12 jurors in the box. Denise Williams in the gallery, clutching a photograph of Jalen. 911, what's your emergency? My baby, he's not okay. Please. Click. Several jurors closed their eyes. One wiped her face. They heard the second call. The third. A mother screaming into a void. One juror requested a recess. The judge granted it. Denise Williams took the stand on February 14th, Valentine's Day. She held a photograph of Jalen in her lap, the only photo she had of him smiling. I called 3 times, she said. 3 times, and she hung up while my baby needed help. Tears now. I did everything right. I called 911. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what they tell you. She paused. I will never know if he could have been saved. If I had just driven to the hospital myself from the start. I will never stop asking why. The defense had no cross-examination. There was nothing to ask. The jury deliberated for 47 minutes. 1 minute for each hang-up. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was handed down on March 8th, 2024. Judge Catherine Okonkwo addressed the defendant directly. Ms. Williams, you were entrusted with the most sacred responsibility a civilian can hold in our society, to be the voice between crisis and rescue. When a citizen dials 911, they are placing their life in the hands of a stranger. They are trusting that someone will answer, that someone will listen, that someone will send help. She paused. You betrayed that trust 47 times. You treated that responsibility as an inconvenience. You treated human suffering as an interruption to your day. A 4-month-old baby is gone because you, in your own words, didn't feel like working. She looked at the defendant. The callousness of that statement will stay with this court forever. Sentence: 18 months in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, to be served at the Lane Murray Unit in Gatesville. 10 years supervised probation upon release. Lifetime ban from employment in emergency services anywhere in the United States. $52,000 restitution to the Williams family. Crenshonda Williams showed no visible reaction. She was handcuffed and led from the courtroom without looking back. She reported to Lane Murray Unit on March 22nd, 2024. Inmate number 02-17-4-8-9-3. A women's facility 180 miles northwest of Houston. Eligible for parole after 6 months. Expected release, September 2025. The Williams family filed a lawsuit against Harris County in November 2023. The county settled in April 2024 for $1.4 million. Taxpayer money, no admission of liability. As part of the settlement, Harris County agreed to implement new monitoring protocols. Supervisors now receive real-time alerts for any call disconnected under 10 seconds. Call duration patterns are reviewed weekly instead of quarterly. Dispatchers must document a reason for every disconnection. Denise Williams has not returned to work. She moved out of the apartment on Westheimer Road. She couldn't stay where everything happened. She attends counseling twice a week. She has declined all media interviews except one. She said only this: "I did everything right. I called for help. I trusted the system. And my son is gone because someone didn't feel like doing her job." Crenshonda Williams will be released from prison before Jalen Williams would have celebrated his second birthday. She will serve less than 2 years for what her actions cost a family. Stories like this don't get the attention they deserve. If you want to see more accountability coverage, subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Wow. That is absolutely insane. So yeah, let's go ahead and close it out, man. That was insane, man. That was insane. This young lady out of Houston, Texas. So this is what I want to say. I want to address this. I have daughters also, and one of the earliest lessons that I taught my daughter was physical beauty. Your physical beauty or your level of attractiveness means nothing with a poor attitude and demeanor. We spend a lot of energy in our community, parents I'm speaking about. We speak about too much energy polishing the outside and not enough dealing with those internal attributes, right? The point was made in this video how she was always told how pretty she was and how she basically leveraged her beauty to receive benefits, right? Pretty privilege is what they call it. And I think most people do have that bias. You know, you'll accept bad behavior from a pretty face. That's some bullshit, man. That's bullshit. A woman has always had to have more than physical attraction. So parents, let's spend a little bit more energy digging deeper. All right? There's more to the person than the outward physical appearance. Okay? That's one issue with this story. The second issue was that, man, listen, dude, as a parent, once again, as a parent, I feel the pain of that mother calling 911 and having her call disconnected 3 times. You know, I used to work as a firefighter for the city, right? So we get to talking about emergency situations. I've seen tons of them. And I can imagine how heartless and callous one has to be to ignore over 40 emergency calls because you simply didn't feel like talking that day. Mind is blown. And I have to present that to the community to show you what we're dealing with. That's a problem. That's a big problem. That neglect cost you years of your life in prison, young lady. I'm gonna leave that right there where it is, man. That was too much. That was too much, man. That was too much. Come on, man. We've got to develop the whole person. We've got to produce better people on this planet. All right, I'm out of here, man. It's your man, Rod Regal. Another edition of Regal Rants. Out of this thing. Till the next one. Peace to the planet.